Chosen one, listen very carefully. This is not a random moment, and this video did not reach you by accident. If you are here right now, understand this clearly. Something has already been set in motion, behind the scenes. While you are going through confusion, silence, and unanswered prayers, powerful eyes were watching. Doors were opening that you never knocked on. Conversations were happening where your name was spoken with weight. You may not know this yet, but a decision has already been made about you. Proof of who you are, your journey, your resilience, your story, was placed in front of someone with influence beyond imagination. A billionaire, someone who moves nations, not opinions, and when they saw it, they didn't hesitate. What happened next wasn't small, it wasn't symbolic, it was extreme. A move so big that it changes territories, power, and destiny itself. You thought you were being delayed, but you were being positioned. You thought nothing was happening, but everything was aligning. This moment isn't about luck or coincidence. It's about timing, finally meeting purpose. Something massive has already been secured in your favor, and most people won't understand it until it fully reveals itself. So don't click away. Stay with me till the end, because what I'm about to share next will explain why now, and why this blessing couldn't arrive any sooner. Before you get lost in this video, you must first do 3 things to connect with God's energy. First, you must like the video, and then leave a comment, "Thank you, God, for choosing me." And finally, you must send your signal to the universe by subscribing to the channel. This moment didn't find you by accident. This moment didn't find you by accident. Nothing about what you're experiencing right now is random, even if it feels confusing. You didn't click on this video because you were bored or had nothing else to do. Something inside you nudged you here. That quiet pull you felt wasn't curiosity, it was recognition. Life has a way of guiding us toward what we need, exactly when we're ready, not when we demand answers. There are seasons when life slows down so much that it feels uncomfortable. Plans stall, people go quiet, progress seems invisible. During those times, it's easy to think nothing is happening. But in reality, those slow moments are often when the biggest changes are being prepared. Growth doesn't always come with noise. Sometimes it comes with stillness, with waiting, with uncertainty that forces you to trust without proof. You may have noticed that lately, things haven't moved the way you expected. Questions stayed unanswered. Efforts didn't get immediate results. But that pause wasn't meant to frustrate you. It was meant to protect you. Some things cannot arrive until everything around them is ready to hold them. If they came too early, they would collapse or get wasted. Timing matters more than speed. Even when you couldn't see it, forces beyond your understanding were already working in your favor. Conversations happened without you being present. Paths shifted quietly. Obstacles moved out of the way slowly instead of suddenly. That's why it felt invisible. Not everything meaningful announces itself right away. Some things align behind the scenes until the moment is right to reveal them. The delay you experienced was not a rejection of your hopes or efforts. It wasn't a sign that you were forgotten or overlooked. It was preparation. Preparation for strength, for clarity, and for stability. You were being shaped into someone who could handle what's coming without losing balance. Patience was built into you so you wouldn't panic when responsibility arrives. If this message reached you now, it's because the final pieces have started to fall into place. Something had to align: your mindset, your emotional readiness, your awareness. You needed to be able to hear this without doubt or fear. Earlier, it might have confused you. Now, it resonates. You're not late. You didn't miss your moment. You arrived exactly when you were meant to. And from here on, things won't feel rushed, but they will feel clear. Your name carried weight in rooms you've never entered. Your name carried weight in rooms you've never entered, even when you didn't realize it. While you were busy handling everyday struggles, paying bills, managing stress, keeping yourself together, people with real influence were quietly paying attention to your journey. You weren't trying to impress anyone. You were just trying to survive, and that's exactly what made your story stand out. They didn't notice you because of titles, popularity, or money. They noticed you because you kept going when most people would have quit. You showed up, even when life felt heavy. You didn't create noise about your pain, and you didn't pretend everything was perfect. That honesty carries a kind of strength that can't be faked. People who truly understand power recognize that immediately. Your journey wasn't polished or dramatic. It was real. There were gaps, setbacks, and moments where progress looked slow from the outside. But those same moments revealed your character. You didn't chase attention or validation. You stayed focused on getting through the day, learning as you went, and holding yourself together. That quiet discipline spoke louder than any announcement ever could. What made your story powerful was its truth. There was no performance in it, no exaggeration, no shortcuts. You dealt with pressure, disappointment, and uncertainty without turning bitter. That kind of resilience creates trust, and trust is what opens doors in places you may never physically step into, but still influence your future. Decisions were made about you without you having to explain yourself. No interviews, no requests, no selling your story. People who have influence don't wait to be convinced. They recognize patterns. They see consistency. They see who keeps moving forward without applause. That's how your name traveled, through reputation, not promotion. You didn't have to knock on doors because your journey already did it for you. Every time you stayed steady instead of reacting, you built credibility. Every time you chose growth over comfort, you added weight to your name. Even when you felt invisible, you were being evaluated in ways you couldn't see. Recognition doesn't always arrive with a message or an announcement. Sometimes it arrives as a shift in circumstances, opportunities that feel unexpected, support that appears without explanation. These are signs that your story reached the right ears at the right time. You weren't overlooked, you were observed. And now, the results of that quiet recognition are beginning to surface. The blessing is bigger because the struggle was real. The blessing is bigger because the struggle was real. If what's coming into your life was only about money, it would have shown up much earlier. Money alone doesn't require deep preparation. But this shift goes far beyond finances. It's about having control over your life, feeling safe in your choices, and standing on stable ground without fear of losing everything overnight. You weren't shaped in comfort. You were shaped in pressure. Life didn't give you shortcuts or smooth roads. Instead, it placed you in situations where you had to think, adapt, and grow quickly. Each challenge forced you to understand yourself better. You learned where your limits were, and then learned how to move past them. That kind of growth can't be taught. It has to be lived. Every setback sharpened your awareness. You became more observant, more careful, and more grounded. You learned to read situations instead of reacting emotionally. You learned who to trust and when to step back. These lessons didn't come from success. They came from difficulty. And now, those lessons are becoming your protection. Every loss refined your character. When things were taken away, time, opportunities, relationships, you didn't collapse. You adjusted. You learned how to rebuild without bitterness. You learned how to let go without losing your sense of self. That emotional strength is rare, and it's exactly why what's coming won't shake you. What's being placed in your hands now requires balance. It requires calm judgment, patience, and responsibility. If this blessing had arrived earlier, it might have overwhelmed you. You could have been distracted, stressed, or pulled in the wrong direction. But now, you're steady. You understand value. You know how quickly things can change, so you handle them with care. This shift brings authority, the ability to make choices without fear. It brings safety, the confidence that you're no longer one step away from losing everything. And it brings stability, a sense of grounding that allows you to build long-term instead of just surviving day to day. You're not stepping into this season blindly. You're stepping in prepared. You know how to manage pressure because you've lived under it. You know how to stay humble because you remember where you started. And you know how to protect what you're given because you know what it feels like to almost lose it all. That's why you won't lose yourself in what's coming. You'll carry it with maturity, clarity, and strength. Silence was your protection, not rejection. Silence was your protection, not rejection, even though it didn't feel that way at the time. There were long seasons when no one clapped for you, no one checked in, and no one truly understood what you were carrying. You showed up quietly, did what you had to do, and kept moving without encouragement. That kind of silence can feel heavy, but it was never meant to break you. That quiet wasn't punishment. It was shielding. If too many eyes had been on you too early, the pressure would have been too much. Opinions would have distracted you. Expectations would have shaped you into something you weren't meant to become. Being unnoticed gave you space to grow without interference. You were allowed to learn, fail, adjust, and strengthen yourself in private. During that time, you built skills and inner stability that attention could have interrupted. You learned how to trust yourself instead of depending on approval. You learned how to stay grounded without constant reassurance. Those lessons created independence, and independence creates confidence that can't be shaken by outside noise. Silence also filtered out the wrong energy. Not everyone who claps for you truly wants the best for you. Some people celebrate success, but don't respect the process behind it. Being hidden kept those influences away while you were still forming. You didn't need opinions, you needed clarity, and clarity often comes in quiet spaces. There were moments when you questioned yourself. You wondered if being unnoticed meant you were doing something wrong. But growth doesn't always come with recognition. Many of the strongest foundations are built underground, unseen. Roots have to grow deep before anything rises above the surface. While others were watching trends and chasing validation, you were developing patience and awareness. You learned how to move without explaining yourself. You learned how to keep plans private until they were solid. Those habits will protect you in the next phase of your life. Now that protection is slowly lifting, not because you're seeking attention, but because you're ready to be seen. The foundation is strong. Your values are clear. Your identity is stable. You won't be shaken by opinions or distracted by noise anymore. As things open up, you'll notice that attention feels different. It won't feel threatening or overwhelming. It will feel aligned. The people who notice you now will respect your journey, not rush it. They'll see your depth, not just your results. The silence served its purpose. It shaped you. And now, you step forward prepared, not exposed. Someone powerful moved without explaining why. Someone powerful moved without explaining why. And that's how real authority usually works. The biggest decisions are rarely announced ahead of time. They don't come with warnings, countdowns, or public discussions. When someone truly influential decides to act, they don't ask for permission or wait for agreement. They simply move because they understand timing better than noise. That's exactly what happened in your case. While you were focused on managing your own life, something important was already being handled behind the scenes. There were no signs, no hints, and no messages sent your way. And that was intentional. If you had known too early, doubt or fear might have interfered. Silence allowed the process to unfold cleanly. People with real authority don't explain themselves to everyone. They don't need to justify their choices. Their confidence comes from experience, not approval. When they recognize something worth backing, they act quickly and quietly. That kind of movement doesn't look dramatic at first, but its impact lasts. Something was secured for you long before you believed it was even possible. You may have thought certain doors were closed forever, or that some opportunities were meant for other people. But decisions were already being shaped in your favor while you were still questioning yourself. That's why this moment feels sudden. It wasn't rushed, it was protected. Once something like this is set in motion, it doesn't reverse. Real commitments don't rely on moods or opinions. They're built on structure and intention. Even if circumstances shift, the foundation stays firm. That's why what's coming won't disappear as quickly as it appears. It has weight behind it. You didn't need to convince anyone or prove your worth. Your consistency did that for you. Your patience showed reliability. Your ability to stay steady under pressure showed maturity. Those qualities are what attract serious backing, not loud promises or fast success. Now you're beginning to see the edges of what's been moving quietly. Small changes, unexpected openings. A sense that things are finally lining up without you forcing them. That's the result of action taken earlier, not sudden luck. This phase isn't about reacting or rushing. It's about recognizing that some things are already handled. Trust that what's unfolding was designed to last. You didn't miss your chance. You were simply waiting for the right moment to step into what was already secured. You were chosen because you wouldn't misuse the gift. You were chosen because you wouldn't misuse the gift. And that's something most people don't understand. A lot of people want abundance, but very few are ready to carry it the right way. Having more isn't just about receiving, it's about responsibility. It's about how you treat people when you finally have options. You were tested with lack. There were times when resources were limited, when you had to think carefully before making decisions. Instead of becoming greedy or desperate, you learned how to manage with what you had. That experience taught you value. You understand effort because you lived through scarcity, not because someone explained it to you. You were also tested with patience. Life didn't reward you instantly. Things took time. You had to wait longer than you wanted. But waiting didn't make you angry at the world. It taught you control. You learned how to pause, reflect, and move wisely instead of rushing into mistakes. That patience will now protect what you're receiving. Restraint was another test you passed. You could have reacted harshly to people who misunderstood you or treated you unfairly. You could have let bitterness shape your personality. But you didn't. You chose to stay decent even when no one was watching. That choice mattered more than you realize. You stayed grounded when it would have been easy to harden your heart. You didn't lose your sense of right and wrong just because life felt unfair. That emotional balance is rare. And that's why trust was placed in you, quietly and carefully. What's being released into your life now isn't meant to inflate your ego or separate you from others. It's meant to create stability, influence, and positive change. You'll know how to use it without harming yourself or others. You won't chase excess or show off. You'll move with intention. You understand that real abundance isn't about consumption. It's about contribution. It's about being able to help without control, give without guilt, and build without destroying yourself in the process. That understanding came from your journey, not from theory. That's why this moment isn't just a reward, it's a responsibility, and you're ready for it. This shift changes your environment, not just your life. This shift changes your environment, not just your life, and that's an important difference. What's unfolding around you isn't only lifting you higher, it's quietly moving you into a new mental and emotional space. You may still look the same on the outside, but inside, your awareness is changing. You're starting to see situations, people, and opportunities through a clearer lens. Old limits will no longer fit the way they once did. Things you used to tolerate now feel uncomfortable. Conversations that once felt normal may seem shallow. This isn't arrogance or disconnection, it's growth. When you expand, your surroundings either rise with you or slowly fall away. That adjustment can feel lonely at first, but it's part of real change. The way people treat you will begin to shift as well. Some will show more respect without knowing why. Others may feel uneasy around you because your presence has changed. You're no longer seeking approval or reacting emotionally, and that creates a different energy. People respond to clarity even when they don't understand it. You'll also find yourself entering spaces that feel unfamiliar. New conversations, new environments, new expectations. At first, you may question whether you belong there. That feeling is natural. Whenever growth happens, comfort lags behind. Confidence comes later, after repetition and experience. This relocation isn't about physical movement alone. It's about emotional maturity. You'll feel less pulled into drama and more drawn towards stability. Your decisions will be calmer, your reactions slower but wiser. That inner shift changes everything around you because your choices begin shaping a different reality. Some relationships may fade without conflict. You won't argue or explain. You'll simply outgrow certain connections. Others will strengthen because they align with who you're becoming. This process doesn't require force. It happens naturally when you stop shrinking to fit old spaces. You may notice that your goals start to feel bigger, but also clearer. You're not chasing many things anymore. You're focusing on what actually matters. That clarity brings peace, even when the path feels unfamiliar. Growth often feels strange before it feels comfortable. That awkward phase doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're adjusting to a new level. Give yourself time to settle into it. Soon, what feels unfamiliar now will feel like home. This shift isn't temporary. It's a repositioning. And once you adjust, you'll realize you were always meant to be here. You don't need to chase or prove anything anymore. You don't need to chase or prove anything anymore. And that realization alone can feel like a deep breath after a long run. There was a time when you felt the need to explain yourself, your choices, your silence, your pace. You wanted people to understand your intentions. But that season has ended. Not because people suddenly changed, but because you did. You've reached a point where words are no longer required to defend who you are. Your actions now carry weight. The way you move, the way you respond, and the way you stay calm under pressure say more than explanations ever could. People may not know your full story, but they will feel your stability, and that's enough. Your results will speak in ways arguments never could. Progress doesn't need permission to be seen. When things begin to align, the evidence becomes visible without effort. You won't need to point it out. Life has a way of revealing growth on its own timeline. Your calm will speak too. The absence of reaction is often louder than reaction itself. When you stop chasing validation, your energy shifts. You're no longer trying to convince anyone or rush outcomes. That quiet confidence changes how people treat you, even if they can't explain why. Stability is another language you now speak fluently. You don't move emotionally from moment to moment anymore. You think before responding. You choose peace over proving a point. That steadiness attracts trust and respect naturally, without force. Alignment has replaced effort in this phase of your life. Instead of pushing doors open, you'll notice that doors begin opening on their own. Instead of searching for opportunities, they'll start finding you. Support will appear without asking. Clarity will come without confusion. This doesn't mean life becomes effortless. It means it becomes guided. You're no longer moving in every direction. You're moving in the right one. And when direction is clear, less energy is wasted. You may notice that what once required stress now feels smooth. Conversations flow. Decisions feel lighter. Outcomes arrive without struggle. That's alignment at work. It's not about doing more. It's about being in the right place, mentally and emotionally. Let go of the urge to prove yourself. You don't owe explanations to people who don't walk your path. Trust the process you've built. What's meant for you recognizes you without being chased. From here on, things will meet you where you stand. This is only the beginning, not the peak. This is only the beginning, not the peak, even if it feels like something big has already shifted. What you're noticing right now is just confirmation that you're on the right path. It's like a signal saying, yes, keep going. The real changes don't happen all at once. They unfold slowly, step by step, in ways that last instead of fading quickly. Right now, you may be seeing small signs, things lining up more smoothly, people responding differently, opportunities appearing at the right moment. These are not the final results. They are indicators. They're meant to build trust and confidence, not overwhelm you. Growth that lasts is never rushed. The journey ahead requires humility, not because you doubt yourself, but because staying grounded keeps you balanced. Humility helps you learn instead of assume. It keeps you open instead of rigid. When you remain humble, you stay connected to guidance instead of ego. Gratitude will also play an important role in what comes next. Being thankful doesn't mean settling. It means recognizing progress without pressure. Gratitude keeps you aware of how far you've come and prevents you from chasing things that don't align with your path. It strengthens your focus. Awareness is another key part of this phase. Pay attention to how situations feel, not just how they look. Notice what brings peace and what drains it. Awareness helps you make smarter choices without force. It keeps you moving forward with clarity instead of confusion. The same power that guided you to this point isn't leaving you now. It doesn't stop halfway. Guidance continues as long as you stay receptive. You don't have to know every step in advance. You only need to take the next one with intention. You didn't miss your moment by arriving later than others. Everyone's timeline is different. Comparing journeys only creates unnecessary pressure. Your timing is aligned with your growth, not someone else's pace. Arriving exactly on time means you're prepared, not rushed, not overwhelmed. You're stepping into what you can handle with strength and understanding. And from here, each step forward will feel more natural than forced. This is not the end of the story. It's the opening chapter of something much larger.